Episode 38. What kind of lube? I lay awake all night thinking about what to do with Dave. Part of me wanted to forgive him, fuck Anna, but on principle, I couldn't just yet. He'll need to grovel and pay. He'll earn his way back in, or be alone again. The sun rose shortly before I did. As I opened my eyes, the first thing I focused on was the light that came in through the bullet hole in my wall. Nothing like a new disaster to wash away an old one. At least I managed to sleep alone. I laughed to myself. I got up and pulled my clothes on. Shorts, tank top, hat, bun in hair held by chopsticks, big sunglasses. I stepped outside and Dave was already up, waiting for me. "Doing a run today, right?" Dave asked cautiously. "Yes," I responded without looking at him, threading the chain through the fence. "Could I trouble you for some beef stew?" He responded. "How many?" I asked. "Two should do it," he replied. I turned to face him, biting aggressively on my lip. "I will be giving them directly to Anna," I responded flatly. I raised my eyebrows to challenge him to argue it. I approached the gate for him to hand me his money. "Can you make it 10? He asked, pulling his wallet out. "Get her the good kind." He was going to make it easy to forgive him, but he had not redeemed himself yet. I took his money, which was double what it was worth, and dragged the wagon to Ray's. He was waiting for me and we rolled out. Boggs still hadn't told me what he wanted by the time we got to his house. He tossed me the keys and I reminded him. He gave a low, long, pained grunt. "A can of whipped cream and some lube," he finally said. My mouth dropped. "Sure. What kind of lube?" I asked, shocked at how blunt he was. "A big can should do it." He scratched at his chest hairs, making a dry gritting sound. "A big can?" I responded slowly. "Yeah." He huffed back, wondering what my problem was. What brand comes in a can?" I asked. "WD-40. He looked at me like I was nuts. "Oh, of course! Ha ha! WD-40, I knew that," trying to laugh it off. Ray grabbed the gas cans and we took off toward the highway. We got into town right around morning rush hour and decided to take advantage. We hopped out at an overpass and did as much panhandling as we could, taking positions at opposite ends of the light to capture traffic in both directions. We got about 30 each, and someone handed me 2 gift cards for free chicken sandwiches. That really excited me. We went to Hassan's next. I was in the market for a new top after the last one was ruined, and some things for the new RV. "Hello, my friends," he yelled as we entered his shop. "It has been only a few days. How are you? Did the weight bar come into use?" "Hi, Hassan." I beamed back. "We just wanted to say hello while we are in town." "Yes, it was very helpful, thank you." He nodded with a big smile. "Come here, I have something for you." We approached as he pulled a large bag of mints out from behind the counter. I began laughing. "This is for you, my friend," he said, holding it out. I was so embarrassed. "This is enough mints for 6 months," I laughed again. "I thought you would laugh. Please enjoy and share them. It gets hot outside." He replied, pointing to the window. I couldn't get over how sweet that was. "Come, let's see if I have anything else you can use." He waved us to follow him out through the back door into the storage area. His usual pile of things set aside was always different. I think he gets a lot of DeReggers in here. Ray immediately spotted a large but heavily dented thermos. "I bet this will keep ice all day," Ray said, inspecting it. "Even longer, 2 days," Hassan quickly said. "I have one myself just like it, but I cannot sell this one. It is dented. Let me fill it with ice and water from my fridge. I will be right back." Ray tried to tell him that wasn't necessary, but Hassan was already gone. I flipped through a pile of shirts, but nothing stood out. I did, however, find a little macrame fruit hammock, the kind that hangs under your cabinets. I didn't usually have fruit, but I did now have cabinets. Ray grabbed a few old tools, and I found a large dented metal bowl that I thought Darcy could mix her dough in. Hassan returned with the thermos, ice cubes rattled inside. "It is mostly ice, but will melt over the day. This is the best way." He nodded, handing it to him. Ray, not knowing what to do, awkwardly bowed and said thank you. "I also have this for you, but did not put it on the table yet," he said, holding up a beautiful blue sundress. "This will match your sunglasses," he said, pointing to my oversized sunglasses with blue rims. I blushed and held it up. It was so pretty and did look to be about my size. It was a floor-length maxi and had 3 rows of ruffles. It looked a little Spanish. "Would you like to use the changing area?" he asked. You can look pretty on your shopping day. I wanted to joke and ask if I didn't look pretty already, but I also did not want to hear his response. It was beginning to feel like he was hitting on me. I also have this for you, he said as he held up a shirt for Ray. It was a short sleeve button up, black crushed velvet, with a big red dragon down the left side. I laughed immediately. Hassan had figured out Ray's style. Ray jumped to the roof with excitement. What a dork. He rushed off to change, and I followed. We then thanked him many times before leaving. When we got in the car in our new outfits, I had to immediately say, Ray, there isn't a thing wrong with this dress. I looked it over in every direction. I know! Ray yelled back almost effeminately. Not a cigarette burn, no rips or snags. It's a perfectly good shirt. I think he likes you, I replied, winking. He laughed, but was too excited about the shirt to react. Episode 39, Frybread and Psole. We made another stop before getting our chicken sandwiches. The air conditioning inside was too cold, so we ate outside. It was so good I finished in a few bites, which left me to watch Ray, who took the tiniest bites possible, slowly, rhythmically chewing each bite more times than it needed. I could sense him rolling it over his tongue, almost letting it melt before taking another bite. This was a man living his best life, not just living in the moment, but dragging that moment on as long as possible. I feel like at any other time I would be annoyed, but right now, I was just a little envious. He had mastered some secret skill to living a good life that everyone else had missed. When he was done, he pulled a few large cups out of the trash and set them on a tray and went inside. He returned with 2 cups of cola and some fries. Someone left them on the table by the soda machine, he explained, pointing at the fries. I really didn't care and ate one. What germs would these people have that we don't have worse in DeReg? We didn't have a lot to get this time, and were struggling to think how to not waste the time out. We went to the grocery store, then the bank, the gas station, then headed home. The dogs sniffed us. Bog consumed half the can of whipped cream in his first pull. I put my chocolates down as we wandered back in, but this time I noticed there were only 2 girls in the plot with their painted field walls. Something about that didn't feel right. Where's the third one? Ray leaned in to ask me. Obviously, I didn't know. The statue of Janet Hale revealed to be growing another arm and had a second lump forming on the other side. Cans were being welded on, and it seems like she will be growing a second set of limbs like a Hindu god. An interesting addition to the mermaid tail and wings and devil horns. We pulled up to my gate, and Darcy met us right away to gather her ingredients. I handed her the large bowl, and she did an extra little jump. Jackson came by and got his new lighter, and I handed out most of the items. I decided 4 of the cans of stew Dave bought didn't need to go to Anna. They both owed the rest of us some dinner. I also pulled the few cans of hominy and the tomato paste, and Ray got the rice and beans going. I didn't think it would taste like it, but it will look something like pozole. Time milled on, and we set up for dinner. Blankets down, utensils out. Darcy and Ray struck a bargain. Once the food was heated up, she could use the fire. Darcy made a small piece of bread to try it, then nodded before letting us try. It was going to be so good. She would stretch out a piece, fry it, then set it on a towel before stretching out the next. I felt like she had some perfectly timed process to allow the oil to heat again as she stretched. She made about 20 large pieces before Ray put the pot of stew back on to heat back up. They each were the size of a small pizza. We had bought the ingredients, but we credited her with the meal for the work, and probably would again. Everyone gathered. Dave pulled his cooler out and watched me for any sign that I would turn him away. I didn't, but I wasn't going to give him any looks of kindness either. He put his cooler as far away from me as he could in his normal spot to give me a wide berth. The politics of finding a seat in wartime, it's like chess. If he sat by someone else, he would be in an equally awkward position because he doesn't normally sit there. With the additional question of, is he taking a stand against me by moving? Or is he being respectful? Something that everyone would form their own opinion of. Whereas him sitting further away in his normal spot, well, that's a bit like a dog pouting in the corner with his tail curled under him. That's exactly how he looked as he sat hunched over more than usual, head hung low, holding his hands staring at the fire. I almost felt bad. Scorning him felt like kicking a puppy. a very large, perverted puppy that just tried to hate rape someone. Is it even a rape to someone who thinks the way she does? Anna didn't come. Denny showed up, but Jackson hadn't come out yet, so he sat next to me, frequently looking up at Jackson's house. We nodded, but didn't talk. I got the feeling he was hostage to the seating chart, too. I didn't know how Denny felt about things since the night before. I kind of hoped it would blow over. I didn't want to explain myself. Needless to say, the heat did not pool between us at this moment. He was friendly, but not warm. Food started hitting bowls by the time Jackson arrived. Only he didn't come from his house. He came walking up the road with Margie. I hopped up immediately and welcomed her. As Denny and Jackson wrestled, I introduced her to everyone else. I asked Dave if Margie could sit on his cooler. It wasn't a question. He nodded and drug it to an open spot in the circle for her to sit. She wouldn't be able to get to the ground like the rest of us. I went to see if Carol would be willing to join. They weren't the same age, but they might get along. I offered Carol a free meal since last night was ruined. She expressed caution, and I offered her some tea as well, which I always offered anyway, but this was enough to coax her out for the night. She brought her camping chair out to set by Margie. Darcy by now was very proudly handing out fry bread from her towel, and people were gladly cheering this new development. Some biting right into it, others waiting for their soup to dip. There was more than enough to go around. I took my place back with Denny and dug in myself. The tomato added a strange layer to the beef stew. I couldn't say I liked it, but it made it different, which, given how repetitive our meals could be, was welcome. I noticed no one dared to drink tonight. And it was fairly quiet as everyone ate, except for Carol and Margie, who were energized by the bread and were excitedly comparing how they bake bread, not that either of them do any baking these days. Out of nowhere, a big, booming, and deep voice came over the houses. "Is that fry bread?" yelled the voice.